joined John at Marwell Zoo in Hampshire.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. Hey.
Every one of these animals is a bit of a star, each one with its own special story. And John Cleese seems to know them all.
Because when you think what zoos used to be like, I mean, the idea was you kept animals in captivity for the amusement of the general public. Well, that wasn't that long ago. But everyone now, especially the zoos, sees the purpose of zoos, the main purposes being to keep endangered species like this safe so they don't actually go extinct. These little black and white rough lemurs come from Madagascar. And they used to have about 70 species like this. 20% of them, I'm afraid, are now extinct. And this is a breeding group, so they've had lots of babies, and the hope is eventually to reintroduce them into the wild.
Back to the wild, eh? Yeah, the plan is to reintroduce these little chaps into protected reserves in Madagascar. But in the meantime, it's important that the lemurs, as well as all the other endangered species, are still allowed to walk on the wild side.
Isn't it beautiful? I mean, when you and I were boys, they used to keep animals in those prisons, concrete and iron bars.
But they're still in captivity, aren't they? I mean, what's your reaction to seeing an animal in a cage?
Well, is this a cage? I mean, there's plenty of space. It's very, very natural. Look at these golden lion tamarins there. I mean, they're living practically as they would in the wild, which, of course, makes it easy when they actually are released into the wild.
Have any of these been released?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ma will have been releasing these into the wild for over 10 years in the rainforest in Brazil.
Sadly, the tamarin population in South America is still dangerously low. So conservation projects like this one are vital to the survival of the species. With some endangered animals, the zoo has got ahead of the game.
Sometimes these zoos get very smart because they anticipate a problem before it's really happened, which is what they've done with these little red pandas, which come from the Himalayas. They're getting threatened because the tourist industry in the Himalayas is getting much busier, and that's frightening them away from some of their natural habitats. So the first thing we can do is bring them here and have a captive breeding program here, treating the zoo like an ark.
Red pandas from the Himalayas, tamarins from Brazil, lemurs from Madagascar. But what about all the animals that'll spend the rest of their lives here at Marwell Zoo? Not many creatures tower above John, but at up to 6 metres, these guys definitely do. Giraffes aren't endangered species, so how do you feel about seeing them in a place like this?
Well, you need to remember that conservation requires a lot of money, and a lot of the endangered animals truthfully aren't that interesting. So to keep the money coming in through the gates, you need a few of the animals that everyone loves.
Now here's a giraffe that John particularly loves. It's little baby, or should I say big baby, Stephanie, and she's only 4 months old. John's decided to help out by sponsoring her. I asked him, why choose a giraffe?
Well, the last time I was here, the big old male came up. Harry, and he started looking at me from about as close as you and I are, a huge eye. And he just checked me out for about 30 seconds, just, that. And you feel a kind of contact with them. I don't know what it is, but it's something very deep. And you have a moment like that, it's very special, because I feel when you go to a zoo and you get reasonably close to an animal, it reminds you of where we all came from.
Isn't it lovely? Whoever lives here must be a very important gentleman indeed. Can't wait to meet him. Wondering if I should have worn a tie. Actually, it's a bit strange. I'm having trouble finding him. Meet Beaton, a very distinguished rabbit. Beaton has the run of this beautiful house where he lives literally in the lap of luxury. In this case, the lap of singer and actress Toya Wilcox. Toya, I thought a rabbit was supposed to live in a hutch out in the garden. Isn't it a bit unusual to have him in the house?
Well, you can keep them in the garden. I think sometimes it's a bit heartless. Rabbits like company, and as long as you understand that your house to a rabbit is like a glorious warren, then you can learn how to live with a rabbit.
How long have you had Beaton?
Well, Beaton's about 3 years old. I got him when I think he was 6 weeks old. You shouldn't get them too young because it's just cruel. He just makes me laugh so much, and it's the simple things he does. The way his ears move like radar whenever he hears a sound, and the way he cleans himself as if he's a lion when really, you know, he's just a little rabbit.
Are they very easy to house train?
Well, you can house train them. He uses a litter tray. A rabbit instinctively will not want to make a mess everywhere because he's telling his enemies where he is.
Do you need to have a really big house to have a rabbit as a house pet?
No, not at all. As long as you bear in mind that the rabbit will move things around to suit itself, and a female can nest and a male can gnaw wires. For instance, he was in the bedroom one night, 4 in the morning, and he chewed the panic wire and set all the alarms off in the house. And it took some explaining to the police that I wasn't being kidnapped.
Don't wanna go to school, don't wanna be nobody's fool, I wanna be me, I wanna be me, I don't wanna be sweet and neat, I don't want someone living my life for me, I wanna be free, I'm gonna turn this world inside out, gonna turn suburbia upside down,
Right, so this is his food. These are Brussels sprout tops, and this is a high-protein rabbit mix. He absolutely loves dried peas.
And no lettuce? Because in the old days they used to reckon that everything a rabbit needed, like water and everything, was in the lettuce.
Yes, I know. When I got my first rabbit, I was told he wouldn't need water. If I give a rabbit lettuce, he is going to have diarrhea. I think it gives them stomachache.
Mm.
So I just give them good strong greens.
Carrots? Do you give them any carrots?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I give them 2 a day. I was told only give them 1, but he gets through 2 a day. And this wears their teeth down, and it discourages them from gnawing.
He values his privacy, but Beaton is a sociable creature. He gets bored if he's left alone for too long. He really enjoys being massaged, does he?
Well, in the warren, when there's as many as 16 of them all bunched up together, they do what's called mutual grooming. And to really bond with your rabbit, if you do that to him, just gently finger massage his spine, he's going to learn to love and respect you like a brother rabbit.
Yeah.
And it really works. And sometimes, oh, he loves that. Sometimes he kind of joins in and he'll turn around and lick your finger. Oh, you've got the white spot.
And after a massage, what could be better than to settle down with your favourite music? This aristocratic bunny's choice is a Gregorian chant. The beautiful Derbyshire Dales. It's an idyllic setting for a donkey. As much grass as you can eat, companionship, and generally a place where you can just have a good time. But life for these donkeys hasn't always been like this. Each one of the 70 donkeys here has a tragic past. They've all been rescued by Freshfield Sanctuary, which has a rather surprising guardian angel. It's a little more Emmerdale than EastEnders, but actress June Brown is just as at home here in Derbyshire as she is in Walford. As Dot Cotton, June is better known for talking the hind leg off a donkey than she is for feeding them. But she is totally dotty about donkeys. As patron of the sanctuary, she travels to Derbyshire every month to help out. There's even a donkey named after her.
Come give us a hand while I put her fringe on.
Dot, the donkey, has problems with her eye, so June's brought her a fringe to keep the flies from irritating her.
Well, it gets a bit sticky, and then the flies get on it.
Why is she called Dot?
Well, she was found in a field in the winter, huddled up against the wall, completely covered in snow, with